Well, my name is Mary Bailey and I've lived in Hathersage all my life. I remember the night that the King died and we had to listen to the radio.
This is London. It is with the greatest sorrow that we make the following announcement. It was announced from Sandringham at 10:45 today, February the 6th, 1952, that the King, who retired to rest last night in his usual health, passed peacefully away in his sleep earlier this morning.
It was very, very sad. I remember being told, do be quiet, sit still, be quiet, don't say anything, listen to this. And even when the national anthem came up in our house, we had to stand up. Then later on at school, it was very reverent and it was very sombre. And we had daily papers in those days. We had to take them to school and make a scrapbook. And then we saw the pictures in the paper of the poor Queen coming back from this tour she'd been on. And it was very, very sad. And as a country, I think, well, just as a village, we felt incredibly sad. And then, of course, all this talk of this coronation. We children at school, we had no idea what a coronation was because we'd never known one before. And nearer the time, we were all getting very excited because we knew we were going to have a tea party or picnic or something. We were all mostly still on ration, I think, then. And so to have jelly and blancmange and delicious things like that cooked by the ladies of the village. I particularly want to mention Mrs. Rudkin because she was a lady, she was widowed, but she had a passion for looking after the children and the old age pensioners. And the old age pensioners in those days had a very special party organised by Mrs. Rudkin. Where she got the funds from to put on all this, I don't know, but I think she had a good team. And I believe that all the old age pensioners had something like an afternoon tea in the memorial hall with, well, it would have been delicious sandwiches in those days because everything was plain and very simple. But I remember we did have a party somewhere. Where we had it, I think it might have been in the Methodist hall. The kids were in the Methodist hall and the elderly statespeople of this village were in the memorial hall. People talk about bunting. I don't remember bunting, but I do remember that we girls were asked to wear either red, white and blue, or we had pretty dresses. I just had a very simple blue and white dress. And at Brownies, Winnie Rodenaught, our brown owl, persuaded us all that we had to learn the words. We all knew the first verse to God Save the King, but now it was going to be God Save the Queen, and so she was teaching us the second verse, and we had to say it, not sing it to begin with. Each of us had to remember a line, and so it went on and on and on until we'd got these words. Now, where we sang the national anthem that day, again, I can't remember. During the day, we children were given a coronation spoon. I wish I could remember who had given it to us and whether all the school children in Derbyshire got one or whether it was just some very benevolent person in the village that had them made for us. And it's just a simple little spoon, but I've kept it to this day in the box and there it is in all its glory, and it's a little treasure. It may not be worth a lot of money, but it is a very wonderful memory.
Lots of people have referred to the spoons,
yeah,
but I've never seen one.
Right.
So that's the first time I've seen one.
It's so easy to go and, all these treasures that we had years ago.
Yes.
You think, oh, well, that's not worth anything, throw it away. But, I've always been you can see I've always been a collector. Yes, I've held that very dear. Particularly when you think 70 years. As a child, I had that and I've still got it. I was going to find you the picture of me sitting there in my blue and white dress, but I will find it. Another treasure I've kept is the Coronation approved souvenir programme, 2 shillings and 6pence. And this was King George's Jubilees Trust.
Fabulous. What
And
pictures are in there?
Well, the procession, for we people that haven't got television things, and it was all laid out in this little booklet. I mean, 2 shillings and sixpence was quite a lot of money in those days. It's published by the gracious permission of Her Majesty the Queen. Here I've got, interesting, Hathersage Summer Celebrations, the 19th to 25th of July 1953. And it was, this is a souvenir programme, yeah, obviously. All the things going on, and the programme of events in the Seal Field. Most people in the village won't know what the Seal Field is. And so, by whom it was organised, the Reverend Fairclough. Yes, he was the vicar at the time. Mrs. Fairclough, his wife, when we became girl guides, she used to teach us French. But we only went to these classes because also on a Friday night, the Boy Scouts were gathering at the Scout hut. And so we thought, well, we'd say we're going to French lessons and we go down and see the Boy Scouts. And there's the Silver Band. Most people never knew we had a silver band in this village, which was a wonderful silver band that used to perform at all these occasions, and at the Hathersage Horticultural Society annual show in the school. Before it went into the Memorial Hall, it was in the school. We had a very special horticultural show also that year. And the Good Old Women's Institute, the Cricket Club, the Old Age Pensioners, Mrs. Rudkin. There you go. She was an absolute... She should have been honoured, she should, for all she did. And Margaret, her daughter-in-law, lives in the village now. Yes, yeah. Hathersage and District Swimming Club, affiliated to. Hathersage Hockey Club, John Strafford. The staff of the school, we were doing a procession, we were doing dancing, various points in the village, finally in the Seal Field. And there's a second performance of the pageant in the Seal Field later, and the Hathersage Young Conservatives and the Victory Social Club were doing a modern dance in the Memorial Hall and a whist drive in the Lawrence Hall. I wonder if that's when AD4 were playing. That was a band we used to have in the village in those days. And then we had children's sports in the Seal Field and a fell race and a carnival procession which all assembled at the station, and an old-time dance in the Memorial Hall, organised by the folk dancing group. And advertising this beautiful little celebration is all the shops and businesses in the village. That was snow on the cricket field that year. Cliff House coaches, oh my goodness. That summer celebration that year, it really was a summer celebration. It really was all the stops. It was all red, white and blue, and we got the Windhill Girls. Does it mention the Windhill?
I think it does, yeah.
The Windhill Girls. But no, it was a real summer of celebration. What we were learning at school at the time was that Sir Edmund Hillary was going up Everest. And we were all interested in such an adventure. And we got the charts on the wall, the geography. We were doing geography of it and all the rest of it. Anything that was in the paper, we kept all these things. And then it was announced on the morning of the Queen's coronation, or was it the day before, it was announced that Edmund Hillary and Sherpa Tenzing had conquered Everest. And we kids at school, we thought that we were part of it. It was such an occasion. Yeah. So when later on Edmund Hillary was doing a tour, our school got offered so many tickets to go to Buxton to meet him, to listen to him. And so it was like first come, first serve. So I immediately put my hand up and said I wanted to go. And my friend Cherry Powell, Cherry Wilson, that was, she wanted to go. And I said, we'll have 2 tickets. Please can we have 2 tickets? And Cherry and I and another 2, we went to see him in Buxton. Oh,
what can you remember from the school of those
everybody.
days?
Everybody.
Who's headmaster?
Oh, Harry Schofield. No, he was a military man, an army man through and through, and yes, ruled us. In the morning, we had to arrive and we had to be on time. It doesn't matter how far you lived away from school. You had to be there on the bell, and I sometimes rang the bell. Brian sometimes rang the bell. And you had lines like the army outside, regimental lines, and the girls would go in first, in age and everything through. And then the boys. And then I remember all the teachers, right from the infants. We had lovely Miss Adlington. Then, of course, we had my beloved Miss Darnley, who was a lifelong friend of mine. She was very special to me. And Miss Beryl Lewis, who was very sporty. Her father was Councillor Lewis, Derbyshire Dales councillor, I believe. And then we had Jeff Darwin, who was everybody's favourite. He also served the Queen, but he was gentle and lovely. And then we had Colin West, and then we had Harry Scofield. The centre was built in the 1950s, so the boys had half of the centre for woodworking and design and things like that. And we girls had domestic science, which was my favourite thing, of course. My teacher was, early days, Mrs. Jepson, and then Mrs. Singleton came. And the boys' side, it was Mr. Ashworth, who was a very gentle person, but the boys all got on with him. And then, of course, we had the school garden, ready for when the school governors came, because it had to look amazing. And years ago, before Smithy Meadows was built, there's a part of that there that was the school garden. But the boys in the 50s propagated a dahlia, which became known as the Hathersage dahlia, and the variety was called Hathersage, and it became a classed. We had lunch in the Lawrence Hall. That's the first place I remember having lunch, in the Lawrence Hall. But also we had it in what is now the swimming pool cafe. And a lovely team of ladies. Mrs. Young and her friends used to cook we children the best meals you could ever have. It was absolutely something we looked forward to. And of course we had the swimming pool, and the swimming pool went out of favour in the 1950s, which was very sad. I got banned from going. Not because I'd been naughty, which was very sad, because we had an outbreak of polio. So about 5 of my friends at school got polio, and it was thought at the time that it was from going to the swimming pool. So we were not allowed to go to the swimming pool, which was very sad because this is something that we absolutely loved to do. At school, we had our own printing press. We had a very big printing machine. We had all the letters, the capitals and the small letters. And of course you had to set up the type wrong way round, back to front. And Colin West was in charge of a team of about 6 of us who would put the print together. But we printed so many things at school. It was always printed and published by the school. In the 50s, Mr. and Mrs. Tomlinson came to the village, and Mrs. Tomlinson was a very clever artist. And she did lino cuts, and so she would go to many places, like supposedly the halls of Hathersage, and do something and make a lino print so we can then copy it.
Now we're coming up for the platinum anniversary of Her Majesty.
Yeah.
Have you any special plans for that?
I've got nothing specially planned for the days because graciously given quite a long weekend for everybody, which is rather nice. We've got a wedding on one of the days, which I didn't think it was very sensible of my granddaughter to choose that day, but never mind. It's a very good day. But no, we will have a family get-together, as we often do, and our neighbours will have a bit of fun with them. But we've been planning in our own way to celebrate the Queen's Platinum Jubilee by planting a woodland meadow in our back fields with the help of the Peak Park, and we planted rather a lot of trees, lots of oak. We planted trees for all the family, and Michael's made some seats out of some trees that we told we had to cut down because they got a disease. So we got 2 lovely seats up there with little plaques on. It's just for people's pleasure, not for any other reason. But we are going to plant a special tree, a silver birch. We've managed to get one. It seems like this year that everybody's buying silver birch because it's the nearest they can get to a platinum. And so we'll put a little plaque up there very discreetly. But no, we are great royalists, and we shall celebrate. Yes. And I hope by a little bit later, probably in June, we shall have some of our special wine back. Oh, Wayne.